So May is behind us, and the latest statistics for the Toronto area's housing market confirm what many of us already knew, which is that the housing market is dead. Sales are unbelievably slow, showings are soft. I'm going to unpack some of the latest trends in the market over the past month. For those of you who like the charts and data, I'm going to be going through those once a month. Every second Thursday, I do a live monthly market update on YouTube. You can join live or watch the video after. So I'll go through the charts there. But I'm going to kind of just unpack the trends we're seeing today, just to give people a sense of what is happening. And like I said, sales are slow. When we look at the chains in sales for low-rise homes, detached semis, townhomes, they're down about 5% year over year, which doesn't tell the full picture. When we look at the number of detached homes, for example, that have sold for the month of May, they're the lowest level they've been at in over 30 years, aside from 2020 when we had the lockdowns. Even when we go back to the mid 90s, we had more detached homes selling 30 years ago than we have today. So it's an unbelievably soft market. Buyers have just moved to the sideline, and that's the story. Listings are picking up. New listings are up about 22%. So listings volume is there, and they're piling up, but the buyers are just not active. Again, it's the combination, of rates, prices, and of course, a lot of the economic uncertainty we're seeing in the market. When we look at the change in prices for low-rise homes, they're down about 6% year over year. But I'm going to unpack that a little bit because what's happening right now, we've seen this similar decline last month in April. But a lot of this was driven by the fact that last year, April, May, June, we saw this slight uptick in prices, and then prices dipped a little bit in August and last year. So when we look at kind of prices today for low-rise homes, they've actually been relatively flat. If we go back to August, they've kind of bounced around this $1.3 million range last year. So we're in the low 1.3s right now. Last year, this time we were about 1.4. So we're down about 6% year over year. But again, if we look at the past 9 months or so, they've been largely flat. We've been seeing some interesting stability. Of course, some pockets we're seeing homes sell for a little bit less than what they should. But at the aggregate, we're seeing some stability in prices at least, which I think is quite interesting. Now, when we look at the condo market, condo sales are actually down even more, 23% year over year. New listings are up, inventory keeps increasing, and prices are also down 7% year over year. Condos had a similar trend last year where we saw this slight run up in prices in the spring of last year. But since around August of last year, condo prices have also been relatively stable, bouncing around 700,000. And again, of course, some buildings, some units are selling for less than what more recent sales have sold for, even sales in the fall. So we're seeing some declines, but on an aggregate level, it is surprising to see prices remain relatively stable for the past 9 months, especially for condominiums. I mean, condominiums, we're approaching close to 8 months of inventory. We're pretty much just under that in the mid to high sevens, which is a very, very high volume of active listings for the condo market in the Toronto area. And this is interestingly, we're seeing a lot of sellers hold out. Some owners who just can't sell the market, just deciding to rent it. And I'll try to pull some statistics because that number is even higher than last year when we look at the number of people who tried to sell but couldn't and then just decided to lease it. And all of this, of course, is feeding through into, at least for now, somewhat stable prices. How long they remain like that? Again, I've had these questions recently with a lot of people. And again, I think, depends on how the market evolves. Certainly, unemployment is the one risk that can leads to potentially sharper declines. But right now, we're seeing some stability, at least in prices over the past 7, 8, 9 months, but still down year over year. A couple of things I think have evolved in the Toronto area over the past month or so. For the first 3, 4 months, the market in, a lot of the city of Toronto central neighborhoods, were actually a little bit more competitive than in the suburbs. And we have clients kind of looking in all sorts of markets, of course, Toronto and the suburbs, but the ones that were looking specifically in Toronto and the core were puzzled because they would read articles about, a sluggish market, sales at 30-year lows, but they would be competing in bidding wars and the market would be competitive. And I think that has eased quite a bit over the past month or so, past 4 or 5 weeks. So even central neighborhoods are a lot slower than they were even a few months ago. So what we're seeing is just far fewer showings, far fewer offer nights actually succeeding, a lot of offer nights failing, and sellers relisting. So, I mean, if you're a seller, you want to be really mindful about how you're pricing. It's probably depending on the type of home, but in most cases, offer nights are not doing so well right now. So you may be better off just pricing closer to what you want rather than trying to set things up for a bidding war, unless it's, of course, a very unique home and you want to kind of take that strategy. So these are some of the trends that we're seeing in the Toronto area's housing market. Now, again, I think when we look at one thing I'll touch on again is that when I talk about sales being at a 30-year low for low rises, specifically detached homes, we're comparing this May to every other May over the previous 30 years. But the important trend is that this is, I think, the fourth month in a row where since February, actually, I'm just trying to do I just count the months, that sales have been at a 30-year low. So between February and May, we've seen this very, very sluggish sales volume for low-rise housing, and similar condos down about 20-year lows for the past 4 months. So again, this soft market, this soft demand is really what's kind of the big story right now. We'll see how it evolves. But again, I think with all the economic uncertainty, we're probably going to see sluggish demand over the next 3, 4 months, and possibly even into the fall market. So we'll see how that all feeds into changes in inventory and prices in the months ahead. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below or shoot me an email at askjohn@movesmartly.com.